Hey guys, welcome. It's 2023. It's a new day with Stanley Renee. Hey, we're back in a new year, and this is my beautiful wife,
Hi, everybody. Good
Renee.
evening.
How you doing, baby?
I'm doing great.
We made it through another year. Thank God we're in another year with a fresh start, everybody. It's a great year. We thank God. God allowed us to see another year.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Hey, y'all. We're going to talk about a subject. I know I posted it on Facebook. We're going to elaborate on it again. The title is You Got to Fight to Live. Subtitle, How Do You Stand or How Do We Stand Through a Storm? This is going to bless your soul. What we're going to talk about, I want to talk about a hurricane and a tornado. That's some of the examples that we want to use today. The tornado and a hurricane, even though on the outside it's ripping up everything, right? You see it lifting up cars. We see the news how tornadoes and hurricanes just destroy things. But people don't realize there is something in the middle of that storm called the eye of the storm. That's right. In that eye of the storm, there's a calm place, a very calm place, very peaceful place. And then you can see literally in that middle of the tornado or hurricane, the sky. So regardless of what's going around you, there is peace in the eye of the storm. I want to give an example also biblically about Jesus in the boat. And the crazy thing about, it's really not crazy, but while the storm was going on, Jesus was literally, I'm just paraphrasing, he was chilling.
Yes.
He was chilling in the bottom of the boat. His disciples were tripping because they were so distracted with everything that was going around in the storm, and they didn't realize all this time that Jesus taught them these parables and taught them how to actually go through situations. These guys literally freaked out in the midst of a storm.
Yes.
But like Jesus, he was chilling out. He was chilling in the bottom of the boat, just sleeping, chilling. And literally, they woke him up making all this noise because they were scared of the distractions and the winds and the waves crashing. I mean, like 10 feet or more high. You talking about like skyscraper waves. So they was overwhelmed by that, And so Jesus got up and, literally stood at the helm of that boat and just said, peace, be still. Sometimes you have to speak to your storm and cause your storms to cease just by simply just trusting God.
Right.
And just relaxing and laying back into his arms. And that is also a side of trust, and speak those things as though they were, and have the authority over things that are around you or surrounding you. Just call those things peace. Call your storms peace, be still. I want to give a quick testimony of my own personal storms that I had to go through. Some of these things that occurred within my own personal life. Of course, everybody knows the loss that we had in our family the recent years, and losing two brothers in a span of a year and a half. Those things cause storms. They caused me to really be sad and really almost to a point of giving up. But I had to come to a place where I had to really fight and have a will to fight to live, because I knew my brothers would want me to live. They wouldn't want me to grieve. But even though I miss them even today, I had to find a will within myself to fight and move on and live on, not only just for my sake, but for my beautiful wife and our son. I mean, yes. I had to learn how to live, and they would want me to live. And so some of these things that I had to really get back into myself and really conquer these things by going through grief counseling. I had to go through some of those things to conquer these storms. I had to go and get back to things that really gave me peace, which was prayer, meditation, and reading and studying my word. And most of all, my music. It kept me in a place of a calm place and a peaceful place. And those are the things that, even though you're going through a lot, in your life, and you lost a lot of loved ones and friends, there is a place of peace. There is a place of serenity. There is a place where you can go and it can just be you and God alone.
Mhm.
But you have to get to that place, and it's a fight to get there. Because emotionally you're torn.
Mhm.
Emotionally you just literally just ripped apart. You lost someone that was very close to you, close to your heart, that's been knowing you and really, from birth all the way up to now. But there is a place of peace. And I want to let you know that, you have to find that place for yourself, whatever it takes to get you to that place. It is a fight that you have to fight for your will. Is there anything of a testimony that you got, babe?
Well, before I shared it, when you were talking about Jesus being on the boat, made me think about the song "Peace Be Still."
Yeah.
Peace be still.
Yeah, by James Cleveland.
Yeah. Because what was it? Master. The tempest is raging.
Yeah.
The billows are tossing high.
Yeah.
The skies overshadowed with darkness, like that.
Yeah.
Peace be still. So he had to speak to, that was a good example. He had to speak to the waves and the wind and say, just peace.
Yeah.
Be still.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have the calmness in a situation that seems so overwhelming. I know for me, there's been quite a lot of times some interesting storms, but I'm trying to think of one in particular. When Stan and I were married, earlier years, I ended up changing careers and decided to go to nursing school. So when I started nursing school, I had to stop my full-time job and go full-time, into nursing once I was accepted into the program. And so during that time, I wasn't working, and Stan ended up losing his job. He wasn't working. And so it was a challenge. Remember that?
I remember.
It was a challenge. So, but you have to keep moving forward. And there'd be days when I was feeling a bit overwhelmed. And not only was those particular things that were going on with that situation, my mother had been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she was having, her own battle with that. And so having to juggle being a wife and a mom and a student and keeping things together was really, oh my gosh, it was so hard. It was hard. So I just kind of had to take things day by day. I remember there was one point, it might have been my junior year. I think it was when Stan lost his job. I remember my nursing instructor, she said, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to have to leave school? I said, no, I'm not going to leave school.
Right.
I'm not going to leave school. We talked about that, and I'm just going to stick with it and keep, moving forward. I think that might have been like my junior year when I was in school. And, but the way that I made it through one day at a time, having to do some serious time management and work on those skills to strengthen, to be able to juggle all the different things that were going on, and taking time for self-care, because there were some times when Stan had started working again where I would go to a hotel occasionally, just get away from the stress of everything and spend the night. And then he would be the only one that would know where I was. And then I would, go back home the next day. But the thing of it is, when you're going through a storm, you have to find out what works for you to help you make it through, to help you survive, and have a plan.
That's right.
I know we were talking earlier about the storm. When there's a storm, you know what happens when people learn that there's a storm going to approaching our way, whether you're in North Carolina or Tennessee, Maryland, wherever, everybody's running to the store to get goods like canned goods and things, so that they can make sure that they're going to have food, or making sure they have their batteries or their flashlight in case the power goes out. So they always, everybody finds ways. We find ways to prepare for a storm. So it's so important that even in life, that we learn how to prepare, for each storm, right, Stan?
Right.
I really think that's important. But let's talk a little bit about, sometimes there are things that we have to fight through that are our own individual storms. And Did you want to talk about maybe the first couple, or
Well,
you could do those two?
okay. Well, the
You just
first one,
talked about them, didn't you? I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Well, I can elaborate back on that one too, also. But divorce. Personally, I don't know anything about it, but I know some people that have been through it. Oh, okay. We got a question coming in. Good evening. It's always that unexpected storm that knocks you off your feet.
So
That is
rest
true.
music. All right.
So rest. Thank you. That is true.
Yeah.
It is. There is storms that will knock you off your feet unexpectedly. These storms come where you have no control of it.
And divorce, I think.
Oh yeah, divorce is one of them. Like I said, I don't know that personally, thank God, but I know some friends that actually had to go through it, and they said it felt like a death.
Yeah.
There is really situations that they occurred when in their situation of their divorce that they didn't see. Some of them did not see it coming. Some saw it coming.
Yeah.
But in the state of it, they say they still didn't have ways of preparation of it, you know, to move on with their lives. Because when you've been with somebody so many years and you invested so much time and love in that individual, and all of a sudden, situations occur where you can't see eye to eye, or it can be various things, whether it be financially, or it can be various things that have occurred within your relationship on trust issues, affairs. You know, those things come, and to move on, they said it was very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah.
You know, those things like, you know, other people that's involved with the children that's involved that really are the innocent bystanders. You know, unfortunately, they have to receive all the impact of that relationship split up or divorce. It will affect the children, which is another major storm, which now they have to go seek psychological help because, you know, it caused a very impact in their lives.
Yeah, because for some children it can be traumatic.
Yeah, very.
To when their parents separate, you know, so it is important to have that counseling, like Stan was talking about, that support to transition, because that's part of the fight. You got to maneuver through and prepare to go through what you need to go through to make sure everybody's okay, whether it's your children, yourself, your spouse. So you have to find a way to navigate through that storm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then the next one also that I want to talk to you about, of course, is the loss of a loved one.
That's what you were talking about.
You know, that I was talking about. Those things come as a immediate shock. There's no way to explain that. There's no way that can be told. It's immediate shock. Those things of losing loved ones, there's not a preparation for that. You know, that's something that individually you have to deal with. I can't tell you the results of it or how to, but I know that it takes time. You know, going through that is a major storm. To overcome that, you know, you have to really look at yourself, and it really puts a perspective back on you when you lose a loved one. That you know within yourself, you'll start looking at yourself sometimes, you know, like maybe I need to make changes within my life,
right?
You know, that can keep me moving forward. Or I know that the emotion and the affection that you have for your loved ones, you would no longer have that because, of course, they have transitioned and have gone to heaven. So, you know, there's ways that you have to find ways to get to that storm, whether it be counseling for bereavement. There's various things for meditation. Some people I know, meditation and prayer have some. So it really depends on what you deposit back in yourself. It has to be a place where you have to learn, this is my time to be selfish, you know, to impart back into me, get self-care back into me, to find ways that I can move on, whether it be therapy, whether it be things that you love to do, whatever crafts or things that you love getting into, travel, those things. But it's various things for various people, situations. And those things you got to find for yourself, but it can be done.
Well, know that sickness, when people have a lot of health issues and things that they have to have, go be followed by a doctor, going to appointments, whether it's, routine tests and different things. Sickness can play a big toll on people's lives in that it can cause people to be depressed. So sometimes people have to, I think we have a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. We got a question that says, why do you think that some people in the church look at meditation or mental health in general as something that shouldn't be talked about? Ooh, you want to answer that?
I just know from personal experience, from having worked in mental health and talked to people, is that sometimes with some communities, if a person shares with someone that they're going through, that they have a diagnosis of depression or a mental health diagnosis, sometimes people see it as a weakness.
Yeah.
They don't really see it as a chemical imbalance. It's really what it is. It's like, it could be like any other physical health concern, in that it's a chemical imbalance that happens in the brain. And so I noticed that not only with my own experiences, but with other people, that sometimes they don't have the support from their families. I had this one lady I was working with, I remember, and I would take her to appointments, and I would have to literally take her when nobody was there, because she knew that people knew her. Her father was a pastor, and that they knew of her in the community, and she didn't want them seeing her waiting for an appointment at mental health to go see the psychiatrist and the psychologist. So I would have to kind of maneuver around that. But what we really need, I think, is more education, because we need a better understanding of depression, because we've seen a lot of people, whether they're in the ministry, whether gospel singers, or that a lot have shared over the years that they battled with depression, but people never really knew that, because they felt like they would have been labeled, So it's so important to make sure that that we be open. God has placed doctors here, medical people, psychologists, counselors, therapists here for us as well. That's something that's available to us, and we shouldn't feel ashamed because we have a diagnosis. And I think I've shared before that I have a diagnosis of depression. And so, you have to do what you need to do to take good care of your health, regardless of how people view it or what they think of it. It's important that you feel good about yourself,
right?
And so that you're able to get the things that you need, so that you can move forward and you can grow. And with the sickness, I guess I'll touch back on that again. Sickness, people get depressed, they get tired of fighting. Especially if they have a lot of health issues. And sometimes your loved ones are saying to you, I'm ready to go, let me go. So we have to, that's another storm or situation that we have to navigate through, that when you have a loved one that you're close to that's extremely ill, and they're tired of going to the doctors, they're tired of being stuck so many times for blood, and having to go to dialysis and different things, that sometimes people get tired of that, and they're ready to just let go. So be willing to be open-minded and listen to your loved one when they want to talk about it, even if it makes you uncomfortable. It's so important that we be willing to listen to each other, and to communicate, so that they can communicate to us the things that they're concerned about.
That's true.
Let's see, mental battles.
Oh wow.
Did you remember, what was it, Joyce Meyer did the book on Battlefield of the Mind? Right. Sometimes we have to fight through our own storm of a mental battle, whereas I'm trying to think how to say this. Well, they all kind of tie in together here, but I can just kind of touch on it. Sometimes we have struggles within ourselves, because maybe, for instance, we were told all our lives that we were no good, we were stupid, we were ugly, we could never do anything right. And so over the years, what happens, well, let's step back a little bit. earlier years, that tape starts running.
Yeah.
The recording of all those things that people have said to you that were negative, whether it was your family members, whether it was the bully at school or whatever, it starts playing with your mind, and you hear those tapes playing over and over and over. And sometimes when we listen to them long enough, we start believing them.
Yeah.
You know, we start believing those negative things that people say about us. So it's so important that we take control of our minds, right?
Right.
Take control of that and know that there's so much good in us, that we have so much potential, that we have so much to offer others, and that we are not what people told us we are. We can be the strong, positive people that we want to be, but we have to do our work. In that right,
yeah,
Stan?
It takes a great deal of work when you're working on your self-esteem, especially when you came from history of being low self-esteem. And like I said, she was saying, it usually starts within your childhood. You know, when you hear things from people, you know, like the bullying and everything, these things will occur within your childhood, and then it will carry over into your adulthood.
Yes, that's true.
And so you have to realize who you are. And I know it might sound like a cliche, but it's not. Trust when I tell you.
It's true.
I had to repeat it to myself several times. You got to know who you are and whose you are. You know, you got to know who you are within yourself. In fact, it might look crazy sometimes, but you have to stand in front of the mirror to encourage yourself.
Right.
You know, and to give yourself, accolades and.
Oh, you're talking about like positive affirmations.
Affirmations within
positive
yourself.
Things to say
within yourself, positive things within yourself. It may look crazy, but I guarantee you, it works.
Yeah.
You know, you have to encourage yourself. When nobody else is doing it, you got to do it for yourself. In order to fight a good fight of faith, you know, a soldier, a boxer, a runner, or any kind of athlete, they have to psych themselves up before the event. You have to psych yourself up to a point where you know who you are.
Yeah.
And be confident and stand in it with your head up, with your shoulders back. It's not being arrogant. It's not being proud, but it's called surviving.
Yes.
Surviving within you. We at sometimes not necessarily can be people, but we our own self can be our worst enemy.
It's true.
You know,
it's true.
We can be our worst enemy because who's speaking this on you? Are you speaking this on yourself? Are you saying things of a negative conversation within yourself that you constantly feed yourself this constantly, you know, negative things of words, you know? Are you depositing these things? Who's depositing these things? Are you depositing good things within yourself or bad things? And also, we have to get delivered from the mouth and the faces of people.
That's true.
Because people are going to be people. You know, it's just point blank. You know, regardless of what anybody tell you, what you are, who you are, you stand firm in who you are. You know who you are. You know God designed you in His image.
That's good.
You have to stand in that. That's a fight. You talking about a fight? No, that's a fight. To get your self-confidence, you know, your self-awareness, your self-esteem within yourself. That is a battle that you got to fight every day.
And you will find out too that you're a lot stronger than you think you are. I think sometimes we find out once we're in the midst of a storm and a battle, we find out so much about ourselves that we never thought that we could handle.
Yeah.
Or we could deal with, that God was there, that support was there. And what was that? Some of our elders used to say, He won't put no more on you than you can bear.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we have to draw from those positive things, you know, to be able to keep moving and go forward and pass through the storm.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know, trying to think, there's the scripture, my mind's going blank, that when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Lord lifts up a standard against him. Yeah. So we know that the cavalry's coming, even though the storm's happening, the battle's raging. You remember the old Westerns?
Yeah.
The old westerns back in the day that I used to watch with my dad. I will never forget. That what would happen. There was to be this town or this village, and they're having a battle with somebody. The bad guys would come to town or something like that, and so they were like, okay. Send word, go get the cavalry. I know this is, I'm dating myself. I know how old I am. Okay. But there was always help. Hold on, help is on the way.
Yeah.
There was always help, help coming. So we have to think about that God can lift up a standard against the enemy, no matter what it looks like. It may look like the whole world is falling apart around you, and you don't even have a piece of land to stand on, as if the sands are shifting.
Yeah.
But God can step in and make everything all right. Yeah. And we want you to be encouraged about that tonight.
Yeah. And there's a scripture about the battle. The battle's not mine, it's the Lord's. Mm-hmm. It was talking about, just paraphrasing, about how the king and the army went forth to fight off the enemy. Mm-hmm. And the king had a word from God, mm-hmm. To set forth or bring forth the Levites.
Mm-hmm. Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
And so the army, of course, his generals, everybody around the king was like, this man's losing his mind. He's sending forth the Levites, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Levites, and he said, no, we're not going to fight this battle. I'm doing what God told me to do, just paraphrasing. Mm-hmm. But in other words, what happened, when he set forth the Levites, and the Levites began to do what they do, which is worship and praise. That's what they do. So much so that God came down and caused a dust storm. So much so that the dust storm blinded the enemy, and next thing you know, they killed each other off. In other words, when the dust settles, you'll still be standing, but you got to stand through the storm.
That's good. That's true.
When it settles, when the dust settles, you'll still be standing. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And when the dust settled, the enemies were gone. They killed each other off.
Yes.
Where the army didn't even have to lift a sword.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we look at storms and situations where we run from storms, but sometimes we might need to just stand there.
Stand
still and see the salvation of the Lord. Mm-hmm. Let God fight the battle. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. Let God fight. When you let God fight the battle, you have peace in the midst of your storm. Mm-hmm. When you allow him to fight it.
That's so true.
You don't have to say nothing to nobody. You ain't got to cuss nobody out. You ain't got to smack nobody.
Thank the Lord.
You ain't got to do that as much as you want to. You ain't got to do that.
Step aside.
Just step aside and let God handle it.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
My dad, thank God, he's in heaven. He won many battles, and everybody knows my dad. He was a silent man. He didn't raise his voice. He never hurt nobody. He just, when his enemies came, and they did come, he said, God's going to fight my battle. Mm-hmm. And he would never do. In fact, he preached some of his enemies' funerals.
Yeah, something.
Because he trusted God to fight the battle. Mm-hmm. And we have to trust God to fight our battles.
That's true.
I'm telling you, you'll have so much peace. Mm-hmm. You won't lose no sleep.
That's true.
Because God's fighting your battle when you allow him to fight it. I know it sounds like a preacher, don't it?
It does a little bit. It sounds like you're preaching.
Sound like an old Baptist preacher, don't it? Hey, somebody take the offering.
Did you say offering? Did somebody say offering?
Oh, we got to say offering. Oh, yeah, that's a good thing. But we got to have a song first.
Right. D-Ray, the producer, here with Blast Music 247, and we do have our Blast Artist of the Week. And forgive me for a little bit of self-promotion, but this is the first Divine Favor Project release of 2023. It is called Sky Daddy. It is a Afro-futuristic instrumental that I was able to put together while I was kind of on hiatus. Awesome. So, check it out. Let us know what you think. blastmusic247.com.
Wow.
And that was the Divine Favor Project with Sky Daddy. A
like
new release from Soul Res Music, also available on blastmusic247.com. And if you are an independent artist, a musician, even a stand-up comedian, and you're ready to get your art out there, go to www.blastmusic247.com and create your free profile, blastmusic247.com, changing the industry one artist at a time.
Yeah.
And now, back to A New Day with Stanley and Renee.
That was very relaxing.
That was very nice.
I like that. Good job. Good job.
Space Daddy, right? That's good.
Sky Daddy.
Sky Daddy. One of those daddies.
Lord help him, Jesus.
All right, guys, part 2. We are back, and we're going to be talking about how to survive a storm.
We've already touched on quite a few of
We
these
touched
already.
a lot on the first round. We touched about counseling. Of course, various things of counseling, from grief counseling, when you lose a loved one, a friend, some of those things we have expounded on.
Individual therapy, something that a person can
therapy,
do.
yeah.
Whether you have a diagnosis or whether you're just having a lot of problems, because sometimes people actually participate or decide they want to do marriage therapy or counseling, or couples therapy,
right?
To kind of resolve any issues, any storms, any conflicts that they're going through. And so we promote counseling. We definitely promote counseling in this household. That is so important to take care of your mental health as well.
Most definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
The next one was
prayer and meditation. Yeah, those things.
Benefits of prayer.
Oh yeah, benefits of prayer.
Can you share that?
Well, I mean, benefits of prayer. It literally puts you into a place of peace. When you pray and meditate, when you meditate and pray daily, it gives you clarity, and it gives you a spiritual awakening within your spirit, where literally it gives you directions from God when you pray and meditate. Some things come through prayer and fasting.
True.
To hear the voice of God, to get direction. Scriptures. It keeps you on a path of direction where it gives you, direction within your own life. It gives you structure. It gives you discipline. But most of all, it's good for your soul. It's good for your spirit man. It edifies your spirit man.
And meditation can also help with stress management, taking some of the stress off of you and helping you relax and be able to prepare yourself to deal with hard things or challenging things, because stress sometimes can be a challenge for people because it affects your health and all the other stuff. But just make sure that whatever you want, if you're participating in prayer and meditation, continue to do that, because that's something that is not only beneficial for your mental health, but for your physical health too, right, Stan?
Yes, that's true.
And we talked about, I think we were mentioning before too, that we have to feed our spirit good things.
Very good things.
Whether it's the word, or if there's some things that you want to improve in your life. We were talking about earlier, maybe self-help books that to help you improve things that you want to improve, personal goals that you have, because preparation, it goes back to that preparation thing. Preparing yourself for a storm is the foundation for surviving a storm. Right. You got to have that foundation laid. So taking good care of yourself, right? Yeah, self-care. Those things that you get within yourself, whether it be taking a very nice walk, don't have to be something of a expensive. Less. You don't even have to be out of pocket anything. Something of a sort where you just go to the park, sit down, and just listen to nature on a bench in the park. I mean, just to listen to the birds and see the squirrels running around in the field, and as long as it's not a raccoon or some crazy wild animal. Oh, I'm sorry. But I mean, no rabid animals. Right, no raccoons. You see a raccoon, you need to run. No. Okay. Well, if you see a deer, you don't have to. Don't go in that direction, but you don't have to run. No. Well, I think he's getting a little off right now.
Yeah, I need to take my medication. But
Let's focus again now.
But yeah, those self-care things, walking, man, get back into things that you love doing, like
could be biking too.
Biking, yeah, and painting. Some people love painting and drawing, and I'm getting ready to try to find me a pottery class, a clay pottery class. I want to get back into because I used to do pottery years ago before I met Renee. And I really want to go to, when we get opportunity, when we can go to Nashville or even the mountains. I want to see some guys blowing glass.
Yes.
That's fascinating to me. I want to see how that actually, how it's done. And, just to see that, those things, those relaxation things, those things that you enjoy doing, things that you always wanted to do.
That's true.
Travel, traveling. It might not be overseas, whatever, but just something local to the beach, to the mountains.
Yeah.
Somewhere where you can just chill. That's self-care. That's self-care. Laughing.
Oh yeah, good medicine.
Laughing is good medicine for your soul and for your heart. That's good for you. Laughing with friends, just acting crazy and just having fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Those things, just laughing and enjoying your friends, your families, and just chilling, things that make you chill and really have some joy.
Another thing that we had talked about earlier too was just remember how God delivered you in the past, because sometimes we have to revisit past victories to make it through the storm, to encourage us and remind us that God can keep us through the storm, and He can keep us in the storm as we come out and we come through, so that He's always there, that we can remember that, if God did this years ago. And I think when we were going through our thing, with both of us losing our jobs, we remember that God provided every time. We never went hungry.
Right.
We never went without. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that God is still in the providing business.
Right.
He's still our healer. He's still our source. And so we have to remind ourselves, God did that for me.
Yeah, if He did it before, guess what? He can do it again.
He can do it again. Yeah.
He can do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. That's the kind of God we serve. He's awesome, man. If He can take care of the lilies of the field,
that's what I was thinking about.
One of my favorite scriptures, surely He can take care of me.
And the birds.
The birds and the lilies of the field, they don't lack for nothing.
That's right.
And if you see that they're lacking for nothing, you think God's going to allow His children to lack? I don't think so. He's going to take care of you. Just got to trust Him.
Exactly.
You have to trust Him.
That's a good point. And you had said something earlier about the last one, that one right there, serving and helping others.
Yeah.
You want to share a little bit more about that?
Even through your hard times, even through your heartbreaks, even through your loss, the best remedy, believe it or not, is to serve others. Serve in your community. Serve people that's in need. There's somebody that's out there that don't have any clothes, any food. That's a good time to help somebody, even through your pain. That will help you when you have them. In fact, that will be medicine to your spirit and your soul, when you can help somebody when they don't have like you have. You know what I'm saying? And it can start just right there in your neighborhood, your next door neighbor. You really don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Just to take over a pot of food, just because, for no reason, and not even knowing that they might be in need of food. That's a good time to really be healed, is when you serve. Serve through your pain.
I'm just going to touch bases here about something what Stan touched on earlier about the eye of the storm. When you read up, we were doing some reading earlier about when it was talking about the eye of the storm. It's like it talked about calmness. There's a calmness in the eye of the storm. That there have been times that you can see the sun shining if you're in the eye of a storm. And so I thought it was really interesting. I started trying to I like to Google a lot of things. So I started Googling about that, and I came across a story about a young man named Matt Suter, Suter, that was 19 years old in 2006. And so on, I think it was March the 12th, 2006, that a storm came through the area that he lived in Missouri Ozark, or something they were saying. And he was living in a mobile home that time, I think, with his grandmother. And so what actually happened, the storm picked up the house with him in it. He ended up being knocked unconscious by a lamp in the house.
Right.
So the only thing he remembers, after that was him laying in a grassy field about, what they said, 1,307 feet away from the mobile home.
That's how far the storm through.
And the only thing that injuries he had was the head injury from where the lamp hit him in his head, and some scratches on the bottom, I guess, of his feet, because evidently when the storm moved him, it threw him over a barbed wire fence, and he landed in that grassy field. So, there are going to be storms in our lives and things that come, catch us off guard. It's like, the question was asked earlier about unexpected. Yeah, sometimes things are unexpected, but still God is still in the midst, and he can still make a way, and he can bring you out. He had minor injuries. There's no major injuries at all, but he was kept through the eye of the storm and was able to give a testimony about how he survived. So, we really need to just take every day, live it as if it's your last day.
Right.
We want to encourage you to keep fighting the good fight of faith every single day, because as we continue to do that, then we can move forward and see ourselves grow and move on to do greater things. And then the scripture earlier that we were looking at was Psalms 30, verse 5, which, that talks about weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And so a particular thing that we were looking at, it said, this phrase, referring to weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning, is a reminder that our troubles are only temporary, and that eventually we will experience joy again. So we just want to encourage you to just think about, even though you may be going through some tough times, whether it's financially or other things going on. I know a lot of people were going to a lot of food banks, and probably still are now, with COVID and all the different things that have happened. And a lot of changes have gone on through 2022, even dating back as far as 2020 with the COVID and how everybody was affected. But just be encouraged. Weeping may endure for a night, but our joy is coming, because it's morning. Yeah. It's the morning. It's the New Year's 2023, and we are excited because we believe God's going to do some great things in your lives and in our lives. So I just wanted to share that with you. Just know, keep on fighting the good fight of faith, and be encouraged, because weeping may endure for a night, but we know joy comes in the morning. You want to add anything else, Devin?
Man, that was it.
I love that.
The morning is here.
Yeah. It's morning time.
It's morning time.
It's morning time.
It's truly morning time.
Yeah.
So guys, we're going to end the show, and we just thank you for participating or just looking at us and giving us your attention, and I hope it blessed you. And we will be back next Sunday with another great topic that's really going to blow your mind. And I don't want to give too much about
Not
it.
Yet. Don't give it away
because
yet.
we don't want to give away, the good stuff.
We'll save it for next time.
We're going to save it. So in order for you to hear it, which is going to be good stuff, you got to show up. Okay?
Look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. See you again.
Good night.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.